Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. Hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So I've talked a lot about here on this channel about the Baltimore Orioles, in particular their ownership, and how pathetic the ownership of the Baltimore Orioles has been, and in particular over the last 20 years. 9 of the last 20 years, the Baltimore Orioles have had 90 or more losses. They have been one of the worst teams in baseball. It's been the dirty little secret of Major League Baseball is how poorly ownership has treated the fan base there in Baltimore. Well, we have a big news for Baltimore fans and Oriole fans. The Angelos family, which used to be, Peter Angelos, obviously he's too old now, but the Angelos family has decided to sell the team. This is from the New York Post, and not only sell it, they sold it. From the New York Post, headline: John Angelos agrees to sell Orioles for $1.725 billion with a capital B. And bombshell deal, the headline goes. Orioles ownership is finally changing hands. Team owner John Angelos has agreed to sell the Orioles to private equity billionaires David Rubenstein and Mike Arrighetti in a deal valuing the club at $1.725 billion, according to Puck News. I'm not being fresh, it's Puck with a P, not F. Well, whatever. A timetable for when the deal will close is unclear. The MLB owners will be briefed on details of the sale next week when they meet in Orlando. Interesting. The role of Arrighetti, the Aries Management Corp. co-founder, is also a bit murky, but it's expected that Rubenstein, the co-founder and co-chairman of the private equity firm Carlyle Group, will serve as the ownership group's decision maker. The Rubenstein-Arrighetti Group will initially own a 40% stake in the team and buy Angelos' remaining interest in the Orioles after the death of Peter Angelos. When did Peter Angelos die? When did he die? The family head who initially purchased the team back in 1993. When did Peter die? I thought he was still alive. Tells you how much I pay attention. Obviously, being in New York, I'm not gonna have all the details on the ownership. But when did Peter die? But this is a big story because, like I said, 9 of the last 20 years, the Orioles have had one of the worst records in baseball. I mean, they've been really good at times. Obviously, this past year, they won over 100 games. They're going to be a monster this year. They're the class of the American League East. This is great news for the Oriole fans because John Angelos, the owner, said he wasn't going to spend any money. He wasn't going to spend any money. And he was basically saying that if I have to spend money, I'm going to have to raise ticket prices. And he basically that was a threat that he was going to follow through on. And over the last 20 years, they've basically been doing that. They would build up this farm system. They would have these players. They would play really well. And then they would basically divest themselves. They would trade them. They'd go to free agency. And then they'd start all over again. But prior to 2022, the Orioles had lost 100 games in a row. 3 years in a row. Over 100 games. Wait, they lost 110 games at one point during that stretch. Now they have a terrific farm system. I mentioned about the farm system, which I've sort of gone through with the Orioles in particular. Their position players are elite. Adley Rutschman is the best catcher in baseball. Jackson Holliday is the best prospect in baseball. You have Gunnar Henderson, who just won the Rookie of the Year. This is a great position player group of players they have. But their pitching, just to be honest, I'm just following it, their pitchers are behind. So that's why at some point, with ownership having changed hands, you would hope that the next ownership says, look, you got to trade some of this young everyday capital and bring in a big pitcher, because that is the one thing that they don't have, folks. That's the one thing Baltimore doesn't have, is they don't have a big pitcher, a big ace type pitcher that they can build their team, in particular the pitching staff, around. They have some very good pitchers, terms of young players. They don't have an ace. They have some near aces. A guy that's going to go out there and win a big game for them. And obviously they didn't do well in postseason this first go around for this young team, but they are a monster. And with new ownership now coming in, I mean, the one thing I'll say about them is they probably got more money out of this franchise than they probably would have gotten 2-3 years ago, seeing as how they've been good the last 2 years. In particular, they were great last year. I expect them to be good again this year. I expect them to win 100 games. And, people saying, well, what about the Yankees? They brought along Soto. Soto did not improve the Padres all that much out in San Diego. But the Orioles have a great young team. They need another starting pitcher, particularly an ace pitcher, that can win a big game in a big spot. Beyond that, they have everything going for them. And hopefully now they'll start investing some money on some of these players. Don't let Adley Rutschman leave when his contract is up in 4 years. Do that. Baltimore will be cursing up a blue streak again. But good news for the Orioles. Great news for their fans. I hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button for the Baseball Hut too. We don't just talk about the Mets. We talk about all the teams if I can. And of course, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.